So they lied, and it's costing thousands. I just can't afford to do it. As you know, I've been working on my solar panels for the last couple of months. I've been very proud of the success I've had. About 2 months ago, we had the solar panels about 10 feet down the hill here. Moved them up here because Carolyn wanted to build this shed and get rid of the camp. Gave me about 2 hours extra of sunlight in the morning. I ended up rewiring it all and getting it all cleaned up, putting the tarp down so the weeds don't get twisted up in it. I leave them on the ground because they stay cooler on the ground. People tell me that I need to put them up, but then I can't even move them if I'm got them on a racking system. Now I bought 2 more solar panels, bought an extra charge controller. To give you a brief overview of how this works, you have solar panels. Solar panels produce DC electricity. I don't think I've ever seen an armadillo in the daytime. Wow. I don't know if you can see him, but he's right on the trailer, the little wagon. Went behind the wagon right there. You gotta be careful with armadillos. I hear they carry leprosy sometimes. There's only 2 mammals that carry leprosy, humans and armadillos. So back to what I was saying, they produce DC electricity. In this case, they produce 12 volts, actually 20 volts. Each one of them produce 5 amps each. That's 100 watts per panel. That electricity goes into what's called a charge controller. And a charge controller just regulates the electricity coming from the solar panels, because from the solar panels it's just raw energy. And so if you put them into a battery, you would quickly overcharge your battery. But the charge controller does all kinds of fancy things, but in simplistic terms, it doesn't allow your batteries to overcharge. It basically shuts it off or controls it. If you've ever played with a battery charger that you get at Walmart, you can watch the controls on it. The amperages drop, the voltages increase. That's what a charge controller does. Works just like a battery charger, except it's using solar panels for its energy source instead of a plug-in. Then the batteries ran to an inverter. An inverter changes battery electricity, car electricity, into house electricity. So DC to AC. So there's like 4 components to your solar panel system. A rough idea of how much it costs to run a solar panel is about $1 a watt. So I have 1,200 watts, so it probably costs $1,200 for everything. The batteries, the solar panels, the charge controllers. And I now have enough electricity to do everything I want. I can run the well pump, the freezer, run the house. We were running the camper when Carolyn's son was living in it. Air conditioner on good sunny days. Today we could run the air conditioner if we needed to. The nice thing about this is it's easily upgradable. If I wanted to add to it, I can buy more solar panels. I can buy another charge controller. I can buy more batteries. I can hook them all up to the same battery bank, which is what I did when I bought the second charge controller. So I have 6 panels on one charge controller, 6 panels on the other charge controller. Both charge controllers go into one battery bank. I have 8 batteries. You can get the batteries at Walmart, and they're lead acid batteries. And to me, lead acid battery is pretty flexible. And I'm going to talk about that here in a minute. As long as you keep them maintained, you don't overwork them, they'll last you a good long time, 5 years at least. I do have a backup system. I have generators, gas powered or dual fuel powered generators. We have this little one back here. It's a little 1,500 watt generator. It doesn't do much, but it runs the battery chargers. So if we had an extensive amount of cloudy days, I can turn that generator on and it runs these battery chargers. These battery chargers, there's 2 of them here, are 2, 10, and 25 amps. Off that little generator, I can run both battery chargers, one at 25 amps and one at 10 amps. If I wanted to run the big generator, then I could run them both at 25 amps. So now I'm getting 50 amps in my batteries, which is about what my solar panels can do. Now these are the charge controllers. These are MPPT charge controllers. I got one over there and one here. These are the inverters. This is a 1,000 watt inverter. This is a 2,000 watt inverter. I use the 1,000 watt inverter primarily because if there is no load on the inverter still uses electricity. So the big one uses about 2 amps per hour, the 2,000 watt. The little one uses less than 1 amp. So I only use the big one to run the well pump or the air conditioner, just big items. Then I shut it off and don't use it That little one can run it. So I run our chest freezer off 1,000 watts. Somebody asked me that the other day, can I run the refrigerator? 1,000 watts is a fair amount of inverter to run your freezer or refrigerator. To me, it's pretty simple to hook up. It's just not that hard. Once you buy it, I've done 2 months worth of videos. You can look at all the videos, but once you buy a solar panel, a battery, a charge controller, and an inverter, you're gonna understand how it works. Everything is self-explanatory. This right here tells you how to hook it up. Negative, positive battery, negative, positive solar, right there. That's all you need. So then you just hook the battery up first to the charge controller and then the solar panels up to it. I would say the downside to my solar panel system is it's not very versatile. It's stuck in one spot. If I were a nomad, having these many solar panels and this many batteries, I just couldn't do it. But here as an off-grid lifestyle, this makes total sense. Even if I wanted to run a backup system, let's say I was on grid, which obviously I'm not, but let's say I was on grid, I think I would still do it this way if I was interested in doing it. Now, the advantages to lead acid battery is you can use lead acid batteries in sub-freezing temperatures, 32 degrees or below. They're not as efficient, just like all batteries, they all drain, but people will talk about getting lithium-ion batteries or lithium batteries or all kinds of different batteries. The disadvantage is with lithium-ion or lithium batteries, you cannot charge them below freezing. This drill here has a lithium battery, and it specifically says in instructions, do not leave below freezing and try to charge it. You can actually cause a fire with that. Now, I'm not sure about the Life Pro or any of those batteries. Now, we have the dual fuel generator. I've talked about that many times, and I really like the dual fuel. Now, people are going to remind me that I need to move this away from here. We're going to clean out the well house. I was just talking to Carolyn about that this morning. But I have a dual fuel. It's a propane gasoline generator, 2,500 watts. And this thing has been fantastic. I absolutely love this thing. Prior to that, I just had a gasoline generator. It was a Champion generator also, but it was just gasoline. It was 2,000 watts. This one's 2,500 watts. And that one lasted 4 years or 8,000 hours. I mean, it lasted forever. Just gotta keep it maintained, change oil. Now about gasoline, somebody asked about gasoline. Yeah, I just run the ethanol stuff. I mean, I don't think you can find regular gasoline around here anymore, but the ethanol stuff, just make sure you don't leave it in there more than 2 weeks. The second generator we bought, I left the gasoline in there while we were nomads. We were parked at a electric site, so I just stored it with the gasoline there and it chewed up the carburetor. But you can drain these. It's really easy to drain. The reason I'm bringing all this up is people keep asking me about these solar generators. Now, I understand that if you have one, you probably like it a lot. And I'm not going to try to talk you out of it. I'm just not a fan of them. And so by asking me about them, it's like, why are you asking me? I mean, I'm not a fan of them. It would be easier for me to say, no, don't buy it, than it would be to try to answer your questions. I don't see the sense in them, mostly. And if I were to have done anything differently in my life, I'd still do it the way I've done it. I wouldn't change my mind on the solar generator. There's a friend of mine from Texas. He's watched every one of my videos since day one. I am sure of it. I don't think he's missed a one. He is a Facebook friend. He messages me all the time. And he just bought a solar generator. And he's got 2 solar panels. I think he's going to get 2 more. And he really likes it. And I'm very happy for him. I want to make this absolutely clear before I get into this video. I'm glad he likes it. And it kind of makes sense. He is hooked to the grid. He wants a system that he can be flexible with. He can put it away. He can bring it out if the electric goes down. I don't think, he hasn't said to me, or I didn't notice him saying to me that he wants to live off grid. But that same day, I got an email from somebody asking me about the Blue Yeti solar generator. They asked me specific questions like flexible solar panels. I spent an entire night thinking about this question. He said that the flexible solar panels are too expensive. You can't buy, you just can't afford them. So I looked up the price of the Blue Yeti, and it was depending on where you looked, it was $1,200 to I guess $1,500. And I didn't see any within that price range with solar panels. So I'm assuming you had to buy them separately. Yeah, I'm thinking, okay, it's 2,000 watts. What could that do you for? It could run your freezer overnight. It probably wouldn't run an air conditioner very long. I watched one YouTuber, he bought one, he was very excited about it, and he ran his freezer, and it didn't get him through the night. So, I mean, he's immediately adjusted his system. And that's the thing, is people go out buying this thing like it's a miracle cure to all their electrical needs, and then they think, man, I just spent $1,400 and it didn't do what I needed it to do. So I'm trying to think, when would it be a good idea to buy one of these solar generators? Now remember, we were nomads for 4 years. We ran a generator the entire time. We charged a battery using that same battery charger I just showed you, and a generator. So about 8 hours a day we would run the generator to charge the batteries. While we were traveling, the truck would actually charge the batteries, even when we were running with the camper, the pop-up camper. During the day while we were at campsite, I would start it up 4 hours in the morning, 4 hours in the evening. Now, we didn't have propane back then. It wasn't a propane generator, it was just a gasoline generator. So we had to carry gas too. But it just never seemed to be that big of a deal to me. If we'd have bought solar panels, and everybody talked about it, and we considered buying solar panels, but solar panels aren't weight-free, they still carry weight. And we would have still had to have the generator, we would have had to have had it. Solar panels can't provide all the electric you need all the time, especially when you're in the forest like this, and you don't have the sun, you would still have to run the generator. So we would have had the generator, the gas, and extra weight of the solar panels. So I thought about, does the Blue Yeti replace the generator? Could that have replaced it? And I don't know if it would have. I mean, it's lighter, I would imagine. I would imagine any solar generator is lighter than the generator. But if you're still in the forest like this, you wouldn't have been able to charge your solar generator with solar panels. So you still would have, and this is what is so funny, you would still have to charge your Blue Yeti solar generator with a generator. I actually watched a video. Some guy bought an electric car, and he got tired of running out of electric in his car, so he hooked up a generator, a gas-powered generator, to his electric car, kind of defeating the purpose of buying an electric car. Why not just go buy a gasoline car? It didn't make any sense. So it's the same thing. Okay, you're charging a generator with a generator, and that makes sense to me. So to me, I don't think I would change anything as a nomad. I don't think I would go get a solar generator. Now I know about them. Now that I've known about them for a very long time. I actually knew about them probably the second year we were nomads, and I just couldn't justify the cost. Gasoline generators made more sense. Well, now they got these propane generators. Most nomads carry propane. I would say all nomads carry propane. Now you have a propane generator, it would just make absolute sense to carry a generator to charge your batteries. A lead acid battery does better in the wintertime than a solar generator or a Life Pro. I looked it up, the Blue Yeti specifically, because that's what I was asked about. You cannot charge under 32 degrees. It will not accept a charge. Below -4 degrees, it will not discharge. It will not give you any electric. The same thing applies if it gets too hot. At 113 degrees, it will not accept a charge, and I think 145 degrees, which is pretty hot. I don't know anybody in that kind of, maybe the desert, but I doubt it. It won't discharge anymore. So there is a significant downside to me. I just couldn't use them in the wintertime. I understand the folks that live in the city, it's easy to operate. Plug it into the wall, it charges. If you lose electric, you got a backup supply of electric. And that makes a lot of sense to me. And I actually bought a generator like that. It was back in the old days when they still used lead acid. This was back in the early 2000s. I bought one for my dad, actually. It was $100. Bought it at Walmart, and it had all the things, the inverter, you charge it at the wall. It didn't have solar panels. You could air up your tires with it. You could start hook up battery cables. You could start your vehicle with it. It had all kinds of options to it. That makes sense. It's kind of an emergency use item. But as far as living off-grid or living in a van, I just think there's better options out there. Now, I get it that your favorite YouTubers are down there advertising these things and telling you, click the description link down below and it will give you my Amazon affiliate account. And so they get a commission off of it. And I think that's why these things become so popular, is because these YouTubers are saying, hey, do this. I mean, I get emails from these companies all the time asking me to advertise for them, and I won't. I don't agree with the product. There's just better solutions out there. I really do believe that. Unless you just want something that you can put in the closet, and when you lose electric, you're running your radio on it, maybe your freezer. But I just think there's a lot better options out there, including hooking up solar panels like I've got. My solar panels are $80. This guy's wanting this flexible solar panel. He can't afford it. So if you'll click this up next box, take to a video where I was talking about, I've been lying to you. So if I can inspire you, don't be tricked into fancy gadgets when there's better solutions. So you can live your dreams. Thanks for watching.